Today I'll be doing a double trade down mock draft for the Chicago Bears. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears draft discussion video, which I'll be doing pretty frequently in the next 2 months before the 2023 NFL draft begins. And obviously, I don't do this many mock drafts most years, but because the Bears had the #1 overall pick and many possibilities to trade back, I thought I'd do another mock draft, my third one of the year, just to show you guys, what a double trade down could look like for the Chicago Bears. Okay, so my past mock drafts have only traded down once or no times at all, but in this mock draft I'll be trading down twice with two separate teams because it's a real possibility for the Chicago Bears. I mean, many draft insiders think this is possible for the Bears just because of how many great quarterbacks are available at the top of the draft and because of how many teams need a quarterback this year in the draft. So doing a double trade down could be the Bears' maybe most ideal scenario because you could acquire many draft picks, maybe a player too. Spoiler alert, that I'll be including in this double trade down. And it's going to help out the Bears rebuild tremendously, speed up the rebuild a lot. But without further ado, let's begin with the video, okay? So I'll talk about my trades first of all. All right, the first trade is going to be with the Houston Texans going up to pick #1, okay? So in this scenario, the Texans really love Bryce Young. They want to outbid the other teams for the #1 overall pick. And since they have #2, it's going to be easier for them to outbid the other teams because they are offering pick #2. But in exchange for moving up one spot, they're also giving up pick number 33, a high second round pick number 73, the Browns' third round pick, and a future third round pick too in 2024. Now I know that a lot of Bears fans want to get pick number 12 in this deal, but I don't think ultimately that's going to be very realistic because looking back in history, okay, never has a top 15 draft pick been traded to move up one spot in the draft, okay? So I don't think that's very realistic. It could be happening potentially, right, if they have to outbid other teams even more. But I think that Bears fans will be pretty happy receiving a haul like this, okay? Getting a high second round pick, another third round pick, and a future third round pick as well. So really good deal for the Chicago Bears. But we are not done yet, okay? As the title of this video suggests, this is a double trade down mock draft, okay? So I'll be trading back again, and I'll be trading back way further than I usually do in my mock drafts, okay? Usually I've been trading back to pick number 4, maybe pick number 7 at the latest, but this time I'm trading back all the way down to pick number 11 with the Tennessee Titans because their new GM there, Rand Carthen, maybe wants to take a swing on a quarterback. Maybe he falls in love with a prospect like a CJ Stroud, maybe a Will Levis, maybe Anthony Richardson, whoever it is. He maybe want to offer this haul to get the quarterback that he wants. Okay, so in this deal, the Titans are giving up pick number 11, pick number 41, a second round pick, a 2024 first round pick, and Jeffrey Simmons, their star defensive tackle. Now, Jeffrey Simmons obviously is the highlight of this package because he's already an established good player and he's only 25 years old. He's entering the last year of his deal though. And the Titans, if they are rebuilding with the rookie quarterback, they may not want to pay a lot of money to a defensive lineman, especially one that seems a little bit irritated that they have not reached out to him yet on contract extension talks. So this would be a great deal for both sides. Okay, I think the Titans going up all the way to pick number 2, obviously it's going to take a lot, but they're not sacrificing anything too much, right? Like you still have, from the Titans perspective, you still have all your picks next year besides the first, and you still have all your picks this year besides, the second rounder and also the first rounder. But obviously giving up Jeffrey Simmons, that's going to be, why the Bears do this deal. Because if we trade down all the way to pick number 11, we're obviously not going to get a Jalen Carter or like a Will Anderson. But Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best defensive linemen in all of football. So getting him on top of getting, a first next year and 2 picks this year, that's still a really good deal for the Chicago Bears. Those are my trades, and as you can see, I got a lot of value for the Chicago Bears. Okay, I got Jeffrey Simmons, a superstar on the D-line. I got multiple second-round picks, got 2 of them. I got an extra third-round pick this year. I got, a third-round pick next year. I got a first-round pick next year, too, and I got pick number 11, too, on top of that. So, a fantastic haul for the Chicago Bears. Okay, obviously, fans in the comments may say that I should have gotten even more, but I think this is a pretty realistic scenario going down all the way to pick number 11, getting at least this much, okay, I would hope. But let's get into the draft now, guys. Okay, we have 11 total picks, so we have 6 in the top 100, so a lot of work to do, a lot of high value picks that we got, and let's get into it. With the 11th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bears will be selecting wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. JSN is a route running master, okay? If you want a guy that knows how to run routes, knows how to cut, knows how to control his body, knows how to contort his body, knows how to get open, JSN is your guy. Now, obviously, a lot of people have question marks about him missing the entire last year for the most part, right? He did get injured. He had a hamstring injury. So if there's, concerns about that lingering, then maybe he's not going to go this high. But if he is anywhere close to the player he was in 2021, the Chicago Bears have to draft him in the first round because he could turn into a #1 option for the Chicago Bears. Even though he mostly operated out of the slot, he outproduced first rounders Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in 2021 with 1,600 yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns. Again, like I mentioned, this guy, even though he doesn't have the best top end speed, he's not going to be a 4.4 guy. He doesn't have insane athleticism. He's kind of like a Keenan Allen in a way where he's just such a good route runner, such a crafty route runner that he just knows simply how to get open, and he has very reliable hands as well. Okay, at Ohio State, he made a bunch of highlight reel catches for his quarterbacks, including Justin Fields. Even though Fields didn't play with him too much, he only had a couple catches from Justin Fields, but there is still some chemistry there. Obviously, Justin Fields also said in a podcast that he would love to reunite with JSN and, have him be on the Chicago Bears. And I think with these Ohio State receivers, Brian Hartline, the wide receiver coach of Ohio State, he knows how to find the best of the best talent in the nation. It's been consistent. Like Chris Olave, now it's Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, Jackson Smith-Njigba this year. You also had Garrett Wilson last year too. Like he knows, that receiver coach knows how to coach these guys up, knows how to get the best out of them. JSN fits Justin Fields' skill sets too because Justin Fields loves receivers that can separate. At Ohio State, he had only receivers that could separate, which is why he had such a productive college career. That's not been the case so far in the NFL, but adding JSN would be a fantastic fit in this Bears offense. With pick number 32, the Chicago Bears will be selecting offensive tackle Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. I'm going to keep on adding to the offense right now, even though a lot of mock drafts in the past have had me attacking defense early because we already got Jeffrey Simmons, in the trade with the Titans. So we don't necessarily need to attack defense early, and adding more, weapons or more help, more protection for Justin Fields is obviously going to help him do better next year and hopefully break out as a passer next year. And Anton Harrison, man, is one of the best tackles in this entire class. If you look at his film at all, he has insane power in his hands. This guy can move people at the line of scrimmage. He can displace people, 3 or 4 yards beyond his blocks. So from a power perspective, one of the most powerful guys in the entire class. A very long and lengthy guy too. He's 6'5", I believe, and weighs 315 pounds. Not official measurements yet because I'm recording this before the combine, but he'll definitely measure pretty well. He has the physical tools to be a starting tackle in the NFL. He played mostly left tackle for the Oklahoma Sooners, but with the Chicago Bears, if you want to put him in left tackle, you could move Braxton Jones to right tackle, or keep Braxton Jones at left tackle and move Anton Harrison to right tackle. I think that either scenario could work because both the guys we have at tackle in this situation, Anton and Braxton, I believe have the capability to play both sides. And Anton is pretty athletic too. He's not like top end athletic, but he has enough athleticism to play in the zone blocking scheme that Luke Getsy, that Chris Morgan, our offensive line coach, runs here. So I think that overall, man, adding a guy that also only allowed 1 sack the entire year last year, that's going to be a big boost to the Chicago Bears offensive line. With pick number 41, we're finally going defense, selecting Felix Anudike-Uzomah, edge rusher out of Kansas State. Felix has been a very productive player for Kansas State. If I read you guys his stats for the last 2 years, okay, so 11 sacks in 2021, 6 forced fumbles in 2021, and then 2022 he had 8.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. A really dominant and very productive pass rusher in college football, and a guy that has just an extremely high motor that you can tell if you watch his tape. This guy's first step is very explosive. He gets off the line super hard. He also has a variety of moves to go to. Like, he's not very one-dimensional as a pass rusher like we see some other prospects be, but he actually has, the bull rush to go to, the rip move. He can win with the hand swipe too, so he can beat you with speed, with agility, with bend, or with power because he has all those tools to his arsenal. He's 6'3", weighs 252 pounds, so as a defensive end in this Eberflus scheme, he fits that pretty well because Eberflus does like the bigger guys at defensive end and the longer guys. And even though he's he may not be like the longest guy in this class, he's still decent enough size to where he could fit in this scheme, and obviously could be even bigger, gain more muscle, in the offseason. He's also a pretty capable run defender. He hasn't really gotten through double teams that often, but when he's one-on-one on the edge, he can bring the ball carrier down pretty consistently. So a pretty versatile guy with a lot of tools. I think the Bears would love to have him on this defensive line. Going back to offense, with pick number 54, the Chicago Bears will be selecting offensive guard Cody Mauch for North Dakota State. First of all, look at this guy's face. Okay, I know this has nothing to do with his play, but look at this guy's face. He looks like an offensive lineman, missing the middle tooth. Looking like a warrior. And putting his looks aside, guys, obviously his play is also top-notch, which is why he's going to be going in the 2nd or 3rd round of this draft. And he's played tackle in college at North Dakota State. He mainly played tackle, but he doesn't have long enough arms to play tackle probably in the NFL. So he's probably going to be a guard in the NFL. And we've seen that work already for a guy like Tevin Jenkins, who got drafted by the Bears to maybe be an offensive tackle, but played really well at guard at right guard last year. So maybe Cody Mauch could do that as well. Now, if you look at his tape, guys, he's very athletic, very quick on his feet, so he can move very, very well laterally. Perfect fit in the zone scheme that the Bears run. A very good balance. He doesn't, seem to be on his ass too often. And, maybe not the most powerful guy in this class, but a guy that just has such a strong motor that you can see when he's on the football field. Okay, he does want to finish blocks. He does want to get people into the dirt like a Tevin Jenkins can. So, having Jenkins and Cody Mauch as your guards will be a really nasty combination for the Chicago Bears. With pick number 64, the Chicago Bears will be selecting linebacker Jack Campbell out of Iowa. Jack Campbell was Iowa's best defensive player the last couple years, arguably. I mean, Iowa's had a really good defense recently, and he's been one of the better players on that defense and a leader on that defense as well. He's a big, bulky guy, okay? 6'5", 243 pounds according to the Iowa website. May even test bigger at the combine. I mean, he definitely has the frame to play linebacker in the NFL. Going up against, some of the running backs he's going to have to go up against. So the physical tight ends, he's going to be able to cover them and hit them hard because he does have the tools to do that. And he was a very productive tackler at Iowa. Okay, if I read you guys the stats, 125 total tackles and 5.5 tackles for loss, as well as 2 interceptions in 2022. In 2021, he had 140 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and also 2 interceptions. So you can see a guy that has made some plays in coverage, has been able to get his hands on the ball, and also make big plays in terms of tackles for loss, against the run. So I think this is a guy that Eberflus could fall in love with. Okay, high character guy, high IQ guy, great motor, great tackler, very physical. Against the run, he's going to improve the Bears' run defense. So really good fit for the Chicago Bears. With pick number 73, the Chicago Bears will be selecting cornerback Tre'Vius Hodges-Tomlinson out of TCU. The nephew of LaDainian Tomlinson. He is a very interesting cornerback prospect. He's very small, so he's not going to be an outside corner for you, most likely. I mean, he's only, 5'9", weighs 177 pounds. So he's exclusively going to be like a slot cornerback probably in the NFL, but this would be a good thing for the Bears because Kyler Gordon has played pretty good on the outside, not so good, on the inside at nickel. So if you draft Hodges-Tomlinson, you can move Kyler Gordon full-time to the outside and keep Hodges-Tomlinson on the inside, which would be, I think, a great thing for the Chicago Bears defense. And if you look at Hodges-Tomlinson's tape, he is a scrappy physical corner that also has tremendous ball skills. Very aggressive guy. He attacks the ball in the air, sometimes a little bit too aggressive, so he may over-pursue against the run or, play the ball too much when he should be playing the receiver. But one-on-one in man coverage, he's locked up a lot of the guys he's went up against in the Big 12. And the Big 12 had, some pretty explosive offenses in that conference. So a guy that's played against some pretty good competition, obviously against Georgia in the championship, like nobody on TCU defense did well. But aside from that game, he's had some really good games. He's played, safety as well as cornerback. So a versatile guy. Probably won't play safety in the NFL, right? Because he is pretty small. So that's going to be a limiting factor for him. But I think a guy that could be a scrappy and physical and intelligent quarterback in the Chicago Bears scheme. With pick number 103, the Chicago Bears will be selecting tight end Sam Laporta out of Iowa. Going back to Iowa, Iowa had a terrible offense. Obviously, they had a great defense, but a terrible offense. But Sam Laporta was one of the only bright spots of this Iowa offense. And Iowa has a pretty good track record of producing high-quality NFL tight ends. And if you look at his game, guys, he's a really good route runner, a really good pass catcher at tight end, which, complementing Cole Kmet could be a pretty big benefit to this offense, right? Because Cole Kmet is a better blocker, I would say, than Laporta, but Laporta could be the better route runner, maybe the better separator. At least he was in college football. And he's also forced a lot of missed tackles in the open field. So, in this scheme, needing a guy that can produce after the catch, maybe Laporta could do that for Justin Fields and the Bears offense. It'd be a reliable tight end number 2. With pick number 133, the Chicago Bears will be selecting running back Kenny McIntosh from Georgia. Even though the Chicago Bears have Khalil Herbert, they might even be bringing back David Montgomery. Maybe, maybe not. You can never go wrong with adding more running backs in the later rounds of the NFL draft. I mean, it's a position where the shelf life is not that long. Most running backs do get injured. They get banged up because they're running in between the tackles a lot. And Kenny McIntosh has relatively fresher legs than a lot of the other running backs in this class because he's been sharing the backfield with some other talented backs at Georgia. But when he actually has been, the lead back at times last year, he's been very productive for the Georgia Bulldogs. Okay, 829 rushing yards last year and 505 receiving yards too. So a guy that can be, a true every down back, right? Because he has the ability to pass protect and catch the ball out of the backfield, which you cannot say about a player like a Khalil Herbert. So versatile guy. He has pretty good size, 6'1", weighs 210 pounds, pretty decent size for a running back, pretty strong guy, and a guy that is pretty explosive in the open field too. He has made some guys miss. He has the agility that isn't top end, but good enough in every aspect. Okay, so he may not be elite in any aspect of being a running back, but he's really, really good at many different aspects that could make him a very reliable piece to the Chicago Bears offense. With pick number 135, the Chicago Bears will be selecting defensive tackle Broderick Martin out of Western Kentucky. I want to add more bodies to this defensive line because I haven't added too many so far in the draft, but that's because we already got Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans, and I'm hoping the Bears will be adding a lot of defensive linemen in free agency, so it's not going to be as big of a need in the draft, but it's always good to add more depth, more talent at the later rounds, on the lines if you can. And Broderick Martin had a pretty good Shrine Bowl. We'll see how he does at the NFL Combine in regards to testing. But according to the website, he's 6'5", weighs 337 pounds. So a big, monstrous man. I mean, a guy that could be your nose tackle, your zero technique in this scheme because he has the ability to generate a lot of power behind the just enormous build that he has. And came from a smaller school, so he's going to be going a little bit later in the draft probably. But if you look at his production last year, really, really good. Okay, so 18 quarterback hurries, 22 total pressures, 2 quarterback hits, 2 sacks. For an interior defensive lineman of that size, that's pretty good. He played pretty decently against the run. So a guy that you can, develop and eventually maybe start rotationally, and maybe he turns into something more down the stretch. With pick number 150, the Chicago Bears will be selecting wide receiver Andre Iosivas out of Princeton. Iosivas is a physical freak, okay? 6'3", weighs 200 pounds, and a very fast guy. Okay, I'm doing this before testing, before the scouting combine, so I'm not sure what he's going to test at, but I'm assuming it's going to be really good, and he might actually skyrocket beyond even this pick in round 5. But he could be like a mini Christian Watson for the Chicago Bears, a guy that's so explosive, so gifted athletically that you can put him on these jet sweeps, you can put him on these routes going down the field, and he's going to produce for you. Even if he's not the best route runner, he didn't run a variety of different routes in college, so he's not going to be starting right away for the Chicago Bears. But as a developmental project, this could turn into a steal for the Chicago Bears. I mean, he has that upside to eventually be a really good receiver in this league if he can work on the route running and, if he can adjust to the NFL game, because obviously he played at Princeton, not a big time college, but I would love to have him in round 5. With pick number 220, the Chicago Bears will be selecting quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA. Now, obviously, we believe in Justin Fields. Okay, I'm not doing this pick because I don't believe in Justin Fields, but because it never hurts you to take a developmental quarterback in the later rounds, like so many other teams have shown us, is really smart to do. I mean, Brock Purdy of the 49ers last year had a really good run after the starting 2 quarterbacks of the 49ers got injured. Now, obviously, Brock Purdy got injured too, but that was just terrible luck for the 49ers. But regardless, my point is, it's always good to have a developmental project at quarterback just in case injuries happen, or just in case something special happens, like you find a Tom Brady at round 6. And I'm not saying that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be Tom Brady, but he fits the offense more than a Trevor Siemian does, right? Because his playing style is more similar to a Justin Fields. I'd say he's like a poor man's Justin Fields, where he's not obviously the most developed passer yet, but a pretty good dual threat quarterback, a guy that can make all the throws, but just needs more development, more refinement in his game. And, you won't have to change the offense too much if Fields does go down with the injury, right? Because you are still going to have, some quarterback runs in this offense to some extent, not as much as you did last year, but to some extent, you are going to have the mobility of the quarterback be a factor. And, if Fields does get hurt, DTR would be a pretty solid option to back him up and, to develop for the future. All right, guys, so that's the entire draft class. I'll put it on the screen right now for you guys to see. But I really, really love this haul for the Chicago Bears. Okay, not only getting these players, but also getting Jeffrey Simmons, to keep in mind, a superstar on the D-line, which I barely talked about in this video. But that's going to be obviously a big boost to the Bears. But if you look at this draft class, I think we have a lot of players in this class that could be contributors for the Bears for many, many years to come at positions of need for the Bears. Okay, Jackson Smith-Njigba at receiver. You got offensive linemen like Anton Harrison. You got, Cody Malka as well. You got edge rusher Felix Anudike-Uzomah. You got a linebacker, Jack Campbell. You got a cornerback, Tre'Vius Hodges-Tomlinson. You got a tight end too, and Sam Laporta. You got a running back, a depth running back. You got a defensive tackle, another receiver, and a quarterback to develop too. So all in all, man, I'd be extremely, extremely happy if the Bears draft haul turned out to be anything like this. But let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Okay, what would you do differently? Would you trade with different teams? Like, would you rather trade with, the Texans first and then the Colts to maybe get a Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, or trade even further back with like the Commanders? Let me know down below in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, but as always, bear down.